Cubs worked really hard, and they also had to get Ryan Pressly to pass up his no trade clause to get him to Chicago. He was a setup man for the Astros. Same job that Hector Neris had the year before, and it didn't work out for the Cubs. An ESPN expert says, hey, maybe the Cubs are getting Pressly a year too late. We'll talk about that. Who's off the 40-man roster to make room for Pressly and Birdie? Remember, he is signing with the Cubs as well. So there's going to be two spots that are going to be open on that 40-man roster. And are the Cubs done with bullpen depth? We'll talk about all that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. We're brought to you by DraftKings. Super Bowl 59 is coming, and we got a great deal for you. We'll talk about that on the show as well. Let's get this party started. Great to see you guys. Go Cubs. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel, and it is always great to talk Cubs baseball with you guys today. All right. First off, Cubs got the deal done, and now we're kind of looking back at it, and we're going, okay, what are we getting with Ryan Pressly? And ESPN's David Schoenfield is saying that, you know what, you might be getting a guy with a diminishing skill set. And we saw that last year with Hector Neris. What was it? Neris. I've called him Narvis a few times. He couldn't get the splitter to work or whatever. He was never that good for the Cubs, and eventually he was released. We called him Heart Attack Hector by the time it was all said and done. So is that the same thing that we're looking at with Pressly? Some interesting stats that Schoenfield talked about that were definitely worth kind of mentioning. And right off the bat, he's saying that, that it's not that great of an acquisition just because of the fact that the guy's been going the wrong direction, here of late, and he talked about how his OPS was in the 500 range from 2019 through 2022. And then in 23, went up to 623. And then last year it was 718. And they said that was the highest it's been for this guy since 2016, and they talked about the heavy slider curveball usage. We mentioned the guy's pitch mix up, right? And that his fastball velocity had dropped down to just under 94 miles an hour. But what you worry about is that the guy got hit hard to a 313 batting average, and is this the closer? Now we're starting to hear a lot of the details on this trade, and one of it, or some of them are that basically that the Astros wanted to get rid of him just because they wanted to get rid of some of that salary. So the Cubs picked up some of that salary. Other teams were willing to take him. He didn't want to go to Toronto. He didn't want to go to Detroit. He wanted to come to the Cubs, and look, we need some bullpen help, right? And you know what? Experts can say what experts want to say, but at the end of the day, it's going to be what he's able to come out there and do, and he's going to be in a bullpen with Julian Merriweather, who's hopefully healthy this year. Nate Pearson, remember, traded him from Toronto last year, but I've heard maybe he might start. Porter Hodge, other guys that will hopefully contribute. And I don't even know who's going to be there and who's not going to be there, because they've got to get rid of two spots on that 40-man roster. And I'm looking at the team and I'm going, man, I think that the most reasonable moves would be guys in the bullpen that you picked up that you just don't have room for anymore. So we'll see what happens. But over the next week, don't be surprised if the Cubs don't release some guys or make some trades to get some guys off this 40-man roster. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. What you're hoping for is that Pressly's able to bring in the same success that he had in Houston over the last few years, and talked about it on the video yesterday. You love the fact that the guy brings success to the table. And that's another thing that you want if you're the Cubs. You just want people that know how to win and that, can come in and help you achieve that. And so, we'll see. But I get it, man. And, analytics, whether it's velocity rate or spin rate or hard hit barrel rate, all that stuff. These guys look at that. Those are indicators that can help you get an idea of how someone is succeeding. Or maybe the other thing, too, you got to remember is maybe the Cubs already know this and they have a better usage of the pitches that Presley brings to the table. And so, that could be part of this, too. The Cubs have their pitch lab and they've been really good at going out there and, obviously figuring out ways to, get the most out of some of these guys in the bullpen. So we'll find out, but that was definitely something that I was thinking about. And then when I look at the 40-man roster, I'm kind of like, guys like Rob Zastryzny, who was a former Cub and he signed. He hasn't had a lot of big league experience, but he's on the 40-man. And there's other guys on the 40-man that are pitchers that were probably going to be projects that you look at and you go, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this guy's going to make it to spring training. I just threw Rob up there because when I was looking at some of the names on the 40-man, I thought, he's a guy that just picked up. Somebody released him, picked him up. It's not like you got anything vested in him, but he is a left-handed pitcher, and you'd love to have some lefties. But we'll find out. They're going to have to make two moves, and it's going to be interesting to see what those two moves are. But this is going to be a really, it's going to be a lot of moves, I think, on this 40-man between now and spring training because they said they're going to keep adding pitchers, and we're going to talk about that in a second. What I do want to say, though, before we do anything else, is that the Super Bowl is set. And it's a repeat of a Super Bowl from a couple years ago. Patrick Mahomes, remember his dad, Pat, was a pitcher for the Cubs, and his Kansas City two-time Super Bowl champion Chiefs are going to be in New Orleans taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles did win a Super Bowl, but they lost to the Chiefs 2 years ago. So we got a rematch. So here we go. It seems like the Chiefs always either play the Eagles or the 49ers in the Super Bowl these days, right? So they're always in the Super Bowl. They're looking for a third straight Super Bowl. But look, I promised you guys that we had a great deal, and I want you to write this down. CBC, that's our promo. Super Bowl 59 is right around the corner, and it's the perfect time to get in on the action with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, they're giving all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. This is your shot to make every last play a moment to be remembered. Don't wait. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using the promo code CBC. The crown is yours. Stay in on all the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at even bigger payouts. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not available in your state yet, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings app now. New customers use my promo code CBC and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code CBC only at DraftKings Sportsbook. No, a ton of you guys are hoping that maybe that the Bears will be back in the Super Bowl someday. It's hard to believe that the Bears have been bad for so long. But I'll say this, the Cowboys have been worse, which is really hard to believe. Anyway, take advantage of our code, right? It's CBC, which stands for Cubs Baseball Channel. DraftKings are our first partner on here. We got a really cool show coming up for you, a new podcast that we're working on right now. Should be debuting here in the next week, and a guy who won 20 games is going to be the host of the show with me. So just throwing that out there for you guys. See if you can figure out who it is. CBC, though, $5 down, gets you $200 at DraftKings. All right, so we were talking about the move, basically, Ryan Presley, what he brings to the table. I don't think he's going to be the next Hector Neris. He's his own guy. I think he's going to be energized coming to Chicago and pitching for the Cubs. Yeah, some of his analytics have definitely declined, but there were other teams that were really interested in him, and he decided to come to the Cubs. Now, he has got another no trade clause. So part of that deal, from what I understand, was that he's been given another no trade clause with the Cubs. They gave him like $500,000 for, the leaving Texas and then going to Chicago where taxes are different. I don't know if you even have state income tax in Texas. You might not, but some of these states don't. Like Arizona and Florida, where you have spring training, you don't have them, and it makes it a lot easier. These guys, they go and wherever they play games in baseball, you got to pay taxes. So if you play the Phillies for a 6-game series or a 3-game series, whatever over the course of the season, you got to pay taxes on your money every day that you're there, which is pretty interesting. But the states without income tax, you don't have to worry about that. So it makes it easier. And then the Cubs got sent some money as part of the contract of the deal. So, it was just as much a salary dump. Almost kind of felt a little bit like Cody Bellinger, where, you're picking up some of you're picking up some of the salary. You want them to get the salary. Cubs still have some money remaining though. And that's kind of where I'm going to finish the show today is what's next, right? Bruce Levine talked about David Robertson. The guy's almost 40 years old, like maybe coming back. The Cubs got him traded into the Phillies, remember? And that's how we got Ben Brown at the deadline, a few seasons ago. I'm guessing that if I'm the Cubs, I'm just going to kind of sit back and wait on this. But when I look at the bullpen, I still think there's some work to be done. Now, one of the things that I wonder about is they've got so many guys slotted to be starters. Some of those guys are going to end up having to be bullpen guys. So I got them at like 8 different starters right now. And I don't even have Jordan Wicks in that mix. So, there's another guy who started left-hander, who knows? I mean, could the Cubs make a move there, or could he go in the bullpen? He's been in the bullpen before. That's a possibility. Ben Brown, where he's going to start the season at. They're piling up pitching. I don't think that's a bad idea. When you look at it, you're not seeing a whole lot of like superstar talent, but you're seeing a lot of guys that have had success in the past. And what you hope is that for the Cubs that they are able to take that and then really run with it and turn that into one of these pitching staffs that kind of surprises everybody. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us here on the Cubs Baseball channel. We'll do it again tomorrow. Appreciate you being here. Get in the comments section. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. I mean, you guys are doing it all. Appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. And we'll keep the topic going. I'm going to work on bringing in some guests as well. Some of our podcast friends we haven't had on in a while. So we'll see if we can get some people on to talk Cubs baseball with us as well. Go Cubs, everybody. Thanks. I'm Mick Gillespie. I'll talk to you tomorrow.